top ready for the timber purlins to be put on site. So it's a relatively easy, relatively quick structure to work. If this really was being built at UTech, one day you'd see the slab in the ground, and if you weren't here for the next bit, it'll easily be done in a day with a crane or a hoist, and that and then all the frames will be done. So our job in 3D is to pretty much duplicate that. You don't have to do it to a scale, because 3D drawing isn't really about doing things to a scale. What 3D drawing is about is to try to give you a perspective of what something looks like if you were to kind of look at it from an angle. The best view is normally slightly bird's eye and more of an isometric view from one corner. And you pick your corner according to what information you can see the most of. So if I turn that round and look from the other side, I wouldn't see all the angles very well. So it wouldn't be a very good 3D. You can't see those angles. It would make it look like the image sitting on it some other way. It will have to go into a title box frame. And one thing I need to warn you about with 3D, what you see there is a rendered version. Rendering means that there's shading on all the 3D stuff. And what is in model space doesn't automatically show up rendered in your viewport. So you need to go inside the viewport and render it inside the viewport quite often. You'll see that when the time comes. It's a bit weird because you look at it, you render it, go back to model space, and it's totally different. You can have them duplicating as well. So let's see what we need to do this. I might have to put my goggles on, everything's a little bit small here, so it's one of the joys of getting older, having to wear goggles. Cool? Some of you have found that out already. I've been in denial for about 30 years. Finally had to get glasses a couple of years ago. Okay. Right, Mr. Four Eyes. So I'm just going to go into, that was me. Sorry. Into Moodle, 3D Teachers copy. Oh, it's up here. So I've cheated a little bit of, and I think as a teacher you should be allowed to cheat a little bit. After all, it's not me that has to draw it up for an assignment, it's you. Oops. It's you fellas. Get over here. Alright, so I've got myself a teacher's drawing. So to do that, I've drawn up the reinforcing. In fact, this is what's on the assignment, this part. But I've done a few extra things, like I've done that dimension there, 2217, so I know how much to offset the portal frames. I've done this little dimension here so I know how much to offset the purlins. Okay? So apart from that, nothing's much different. I've drawn this up in elevational view, and I've also done P-lines, the yellow P-line there for the concrete. I've done a P-line here for the plate, a P-line on the other side for the plate. I've done a green P-line around all of this, and I've done a P-line here and a P-line here for the brakes. So you will have to draw those up yourself. I'm not going to go through that process. They're all fully dimensioned on those elevations. Assume that this is at 45 degrees and the dimension down to there is 600. Okay? Right. So this is exciting. We're ready to go. So I'm going to do exactly what I just said before. I'm going to view this from an isometric view and lie it down at the same time. By the way, this is dangerous. That represents a danger zone. I'm pretty sure Ingrid told you that. But if you're one of these students that go, oh, let me see. Oh, if I click on here, oh, I got that. Okay, I click on the top, I got that. North, that. Yep, I'm not quite sure where I am, but oh, that's right. You hold the shift key down. Yeah. Where am I? I've done all this work and I don't know how to get back. Don't play with that thing up there. It's going to confuse you. You'll end up drawing the damn thing upside down. You'll get confused at what view you're looking at. Leave it alone. Okay, I can't stress that more. It's possible to accidentally click on it. So in that case, we can go back to a few basics. So I still haven't completed my putting things in AutoCAD Classic. So I'll go undock there. No doubt most of you have already got yours in AutoCAD Classic. And the other one down the bottom here, which is snap settings. Oh, they're on the other screen. So, dynamic import. Okay. Alright, we're pretty much there. So I'm going to go view up here. View, 3D views. Now, I know you were shown this in your first week with Ingrid, and there'll be a lot of students go, oh, we didn't know she did. I know that, because you did a cube and you spun it round. Okay? If you missed that first week and you came into class in the second week, and she says, you said, did I miss much? She probably said, with a smile on her face, no, you'll find out about it. Well, this is where you find out about it. Okay. We're going to look at a view called Southwest Isometric. So we'll click on that, and it's spun it round to a view that I can deal with now when I'm doing this. I'm just going to delete this because it could well get in the road and confuse things. But I'm going to keep these because I'm going to probably need to read some of these dimensions. So at the moment, this is my 3D object. Okay, now on a blank piece to the right, either there or over here, or up the top, I'll do it over here. I'm going to right click and go AutoCAD and Modeling. So AutoCAD and Modeling. And that has come up over here. I'm not quite sure why it's come up over here. Oh no, it hasn't. That's something else that's come up over here. That was my, what's it called? Dialog box up the top. what's come up over here, and I'm going to bring it over onto the main screen, is this here. No, it doesn't want to go on the main screen. Here it is. Okay. That's my modelling tools. So when I right-clicked on here and went AutoCAD and then went to modelling, I got these buttons up here. Now, I like to put them over here, up out of the road, but where I can see them. You can dock them on the side as well, if that's your preferred view. You can also put them on your other monitor if you've got two monitors. Now, the main one we're going to use is one called Extrude, which is this one here. Now, the cool thing about it is if you leave your mouse hanging over there, it'll tell you what it means and what it actually does. In this case, we can extrude any P-line to form a extruded shape. So how long is that? I think it's 7 meters long. What does it say here? Yeah, 7 meters long. So the slab itself is 7 meters long. So I'm going to click on it and go extrude. Notice it started to do that. Now, there's a reason why it's doing that, and that's because I've set my visual styles to realistic. How do we do that? View, visual styles. Now if it was 2D wireframe, and I clicked on it, and went extrude, it'll do that, you see. Now this is for the benefit of the students that bought their computer from the warehouse. Or they found it on the back of the truck. This will not break your computer. This will not make you freeze. This is a way around any problems with your memory in your computer, right? So we cater for all sorts here. This is for the students in the class that are living off the street. They can still do their homework. Actually, to be fair, you're better off coming in here and doing it. But be careful, there are a few PCs in here that aren't very good. I've had students put their hands up and go, oh, I nearly finished the 3D and it just crashed on me. Yeah, that's because they didn't like doing it this way. They preferred to do it the way that I want it presented, which is view, visual styles, realistic. Now you can do realistic, you can turn it to realistic at the very end, works just as well. Anyway, I'm going to click on here, click on that, aim upwards and type in 7,000. Enter. Now I'm looking at that, it's going to be a bit of a pain to do the rest of these things at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'll do that last. So I'm just going to undo that. And the first thing I'm going to do is my purlins, which are also 7 meters. I'm only just going to do one. Click on it. Click on extrude. Aim upwards and type in 7. Oops, not 7, no. Click on it again. Told you I'm making a mistake. Aim upwards, 7,000. Now, I'm going to copy that from that corner to that corner to that corner to that corner to that corner. Make sure you've got endpoint on to that corner to that corner to that corner. This one will be to that corner there. Anyone know how long the angle is?
150 by 110.
So how long do I extrude it? to know how long you can extrude it, and you'll get yourself half a mark. I'll give you a clue. It's one of those two numbers.
110.
Oh. I think you're right, but I'm just gonna see what it says. 150 by 75, but they're 110 long. Sorry, 150 by 110 by 10. Let's have a look at the dimension. That's the 110 there, I'm sorry, and the 150 is the height. They're actually 200 wide. But if I haven't put it in the notes, I'll have to give you the half mark. Be a shame. Yeah, 150 wide is the answer. Sorry, I can't. What? So we're going to extrude it by 150. Click on here. I could do them all at once, is another way of doing it. So I'm clicking on them all at the moment. So last time I copied it a million times. This time I'm clicking on them all. By the way, I've done a P-line. You'll find those angles in the assignment itself on Moodle in CAD form. But anyway, I'll put them there. I'll go and click, and I've aimed up. But this time I'm only going to aim up. I'm aiming all the way up there, but I'm only going to type in 150. Enter. Now the angles should be on a layer called steel or something like that, so they've actually ended up on the timber layer. Actually everything's on the 3D concrete layer, so I'm going to put things on the right layer. I'm clicking on them all and 3D angle. I'm going to click on all these.
Part of the bracket is 110 all the way. The bottom of that bracket.
Yeah, the bottom's 110, the height is 150.
I did get it right.
Yes, but I said how much do I extrude it by? You were right with your, yeah, you nearly got it.
I just make sure I get the right one drawing.
You don't have to draw them on your drawing because they're in the assignment. You can actually grab that. It's an AutoCAD block and put it into your drawing. Oh, okay. Did everyone hear that? For those that haven't started their drawing, there is a block with that angle in it in your AutoCAD assignment. I would suggest it might be we're going to grab it and put it on your. If you've already started drawing it, you can still put it there if you want. You need to use that block when you work out your area and your calculations for the steel. Anyway, I'm going to put this onto Berlin's, and now I'm in a position where I can do the frame. So I'm going to click on that part, and that part. Now the frame is, did you get it right? 150 by 150. So we need to extrude that by 150. Very important to have ortho on here. Okay, so I'm now going to put that onto a layer called frame or 3D or 3D plate, 3D angle. Don't have a frame, so we'll call it photo frame. We do. Here it is. Alright, lastly, the slab. You click on that. I'm going to extrude it, and it's going 7 meters, so 7,000, and enter. Right, now one would say we're on our way, but what our biggest problem is we need to actually stand this up, don't we? So over here, you'll see a very special button. If you hold your mouse on it, it'll say 3D rotate. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click on all of this. The big window, green window, enter. And you'll see we have the 3 rings around the planet. I'm going to start by clicking on, I can't remember which one it was. Pretty sure it's the green one, but if I'm wrong, we'll click on the red one. So let's click on the green one, and it's turned orange, and it's definitely not the green one, okay? I should have auto on here. No, it's not the green one. So let's try the orange one. So 3D rotate, grab it all, enter, and let's click on the red one and see if it turns orange, and aim upwards and go click, and we're done. So it was the red one, remember that, alright? Now, so far so good, but what we haven't done is we forgot to do the plate, which is this one here. I'm going to click on that, and I think I'll take it about 400. That'll do at the moment. You all need to try and work out a dimension that works for your holes. That looks a bit big, doesn't it? We are going to move that by 50, but I think it's probably more. I'll leave it at, no, I'll undo that. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to extrude it this time by 300. I'm also going to move the green structure and with the blue window, all the angles with the blue window and the green structure, but not the purlins. I'm going to move them all, enter from here, aim down that way, 50. Now you'll see that it's moved on the plate. By the way, the plate I'm now going to put on the right layer, which is that layer. And now for some Smarty Pants 3D work. First of all, I'm going to try and mirror that to the other side. I might just delete that dimension. So I'm going to type MIRROR or click on the mirror icon. And with a blue window, so I don't pick anything, oh, I've picked up some of this. I'll make sure I don't pick it up. So R for remove. Enter. From the midpoint there, aim across and go click. Enter. So I mirrored it from the midpoint there to the midpoint on the other side. Now the reason why I did a dimension here is because I can now copy that 2217. Remember that, 2217. I'm going to hold the shift key down and turn it around so it's in a more desirable position. And I'm going to copy that, one more, copy that, enter 2217, and double that will be 4434. Enter. That's it. I've now done my 3D model. I'm going to rotate it just to make sure that everything's there. Looks like it is. Pretty cool and pretty quick. And now we're going to go into a viewport. We'll make a new, I'll copy a viewport like the section one. Move or copy. Copy. Okay. Okay, so I've got the viewport here. I'm going to rename that 3D. I'm going to click on it, and the problem is that in the drawing itself, when I do it in the viewport, it's not only the plan view, which I don't want, it's also in visual style 2D. Yeah. So how am I going to fix that? Well, I'm in the viewport. I now go View, Visual Styles, Realistic. That's looking better. I hold my Shift key down on my middle roller and I move it around. Now the key to this is to get it in a position that you're comfortable with it without anything in the background showing. And maybe there. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Alright. So let's have a look at the assignment, because I want to get these things right on how much it's going to be worth. I think it's worth 5, but I could be wrong. Oops, that's a silver assignment. I don't want that. Here's the structure. Assignment 3, right at the top. So, by the way, those steel timber members are in here. The square one is the portal frame. What I'm looking for is the actual assignment, which some of you haven't even read yet. 3D. Draw a simple 3D model, not to scale, for 3 marks. So what I've drawn is, I've pretty much given you 3 marks. It's Christmas, everyone. 3 marks worth of lollies to everyone. To get the extra 2 marks, you've got to think about drawing up some of the other things on there. Bolts, washers, nuts, screws, roofing, windows, internal clip. Tell you what, I'll give you a bit of a heads up. I'm going to draw a bolt, wash and nut, and we'll throw that on there, all right? A bolt, a washer and a nut. Only because I'm feeling generous today. Oh, guess what I haven't done? I haven't copied these across. 1, 2, 3, 4. From that point to that point. All right. So the Dynabolt. Let me see. It's got a 20mm diameter, so we'll go up here to the cylinder, which is here. And if it's 20mm, it'll be 10 on the cylinder, and the height would be about 100. There's our bolt. Let's just turn it to something a bit different colour. Okay, so that's probably going to have a nut head on it, right? So I'm going to do a circle. I'm going to copy another circle from the centre point of that circle to the quad point on there. I'm going to copy that from the intersection of there down to there, to the other quad point. So what I've done there is I've done that so that I can do a P-line that is in the shape of a bolt head. You can do it any way you want. I'm just showing you a way to do it. Now delete all these circles, and we have a bolt head. Now it's a bit big at the moment, so I'll scale it down a bit. Say 0.5. Not bad. I'll move that from there over to here. I'll scale it a little bit more here, 1.2 or something. And I'm going to extrude that. Let me see, 6 mil, 7 mil. Extrude that. Now I'm going to move that down. And then I'm going to extrude that. Let me see, maybe about that much. And we've got ourselves a washer, a nut, and we'll mirror that nut down the bottom. Or copy it, sorry, down the bottom. So I've just drawn a nut, just like that, eh? Now, the problem is, it's going to have to go into the plate over here. So we'll change them all to white so we can see them all. And the plate, I'll have to do my calculations for the hole. But let's just say it's this way 50 and that way 50. So that's my end point for the center. And I'm going to move this from the center of that circle. Oh, something happened there. I'm going to move that from the center of there to that point there. I'm going to copy all this to the side because we'll start using it on another one in a minute. We don't need the nut for the dynabolt. We don't need the washer. So we'll just simply move the dynabolt down into the plate. I'm going to mirror that from that point there across. I'm going to mirror that from that point there across. We now have all our bolts in place, so I can now go copy, grab them all but not the plate, from that point to that point to that point to that point, and of course you can copy it, mirror it down to the other side. So I can mirror that enter from the midpoint there, across. And notice that I've mirrored the Dynabolt down there as well. Now, there are other shapes up there that you might like to, I mean, I've drawn that. You can download, I will allow you to download nuts and bolts off the internet if you want to. If you're doing the civil part to try and get a bonus mark, you can download trees off the internet if you want. There is a few things up here which might be helpful in terms of some of the things you can do. There's like a wedge thing here you can do maybe for the there's cylinders, there's things you can put for welding. Not quite sure what I'm doing there. There's donuts, there's pyramids, there's all sorts of other shapes you can use to do things on your drawing. If you want to try and do the civils, you need to do something called 3D face. 3D F-A-C-E, enter, and you do a shape that goes from say there to there, back down to there, and another one, 3D face, type it again, going from there to there to there to there. It looks like a really bad PlayStation game where the ground's all in triangles. But of course it must mirror the triangle, the ground line of your civils. If you want to look at, say, a roof, then you know you can do something like this. Let me see. You could do a P line that went like that, and then up. If you do a nice even roof like that, you could rotate it using the same rotation and the red line. Oh, that one's not rotating without the green line. Click on it, 3D rotate in the green line this time. And then you type extrude, and you can get the fancy view of a roof. See that? That's pretty cool. I did the shape of a roof and then I extruded it. Alright? So 3D is only limited by your imagination. And so that's your bolts, your nuts. I would suggest that you could do kind of like a doorstop around there, a little cylinder to show the welding around the bottom. Okay? Now, a word of warning just before I finish. It is actually quite good fun once you do it, only because you see something, you've actually produced something and you're a bit proud of yourself, right? You do your maths homework and you get an answer and you go, oh, no big deal. You do some surveying and you end up with the right level, no big deal. You draw up Roger's pictures, no big deal. You do this and you go, oh, that's pretty cool, I did that, right? So don't spend your whole life on it. I really want you to get on with other study as well, and that's why I've only made it 5 marks. And 3 is for what I did, 2 more is for the nuts, bolts, washers, another, remember you've got some screws holding on the purlin, the angle to the purlin. So there's quite a few to put on there too. And the other word of warning is when you bring in stuff off the internet, it's quite big sizes. And if you copy the bolts 1,000 times, you're going to end up with a big file. So the big file then goes to your computer. Hold on, you haven't got enough memory. I don't know what to do. So it's like one of those goats in Afghanistan, I think it is, where they just freeze. And that's what happens to your computer. Is it Pakistan, Afghanistan? One of them has got goats that they're a bit weird. They just suddenly freeze. If you've seen them on TV. Yeah. Is it India? No? They're all saying we don't have goats. What about the cricketer that's just retired? He's a goat. In fact, there's been quite a few. I don't know where the wicket keeper's going to retire, must be soon. What's his name? Yeah. No, the Indian wicket keeper. He must retire soon, surely. They call him the finisher. Mostly one day game. Quite good though because Indians hate Australians and vice versa. But the Indians and New Zealand can get on really well. So they have quite friendly games. Not super friendly, but I don't think they get on that well. England either. Definitely not Pakistan. So we don't really get that. In the 80s it was like that with Hadley and Crowe and all that, and versus Thompson and Lilly and all that. We had a really good team. Like that all the time. It's sort of taken off now. I was just too good. Most players. Do you still play here? Quite funny when I started playing for the late 80s. It was probably every team I had an Indian, maybe not. Yeah. Every team. Some of them are. Depends where you are. You know, Ross will talk when you're in the place. Or Middle Eastern. Mostly Indian. I grew up with it in New Zealand and Dunedin. Glenn Turner was my neighbour. Glenn Turner. He married an Indian woman. And she became the mayor of Dunedin. Very, very brainy. He was a different English stranger, so they were very good figure. And his brother was a New Zealand hockey player, and his other brother was a New Zealand golfer. And I went to school with the other brother, Greg. I think his golfer made the most money. But Glenn went on to I only had about a 44 average. He scored 100 more. A lot of his better stuff over England. It was a different era. You know, one day games, if you got 200, you won the one day game in the 80s. Easy. No one would even chase it down. But now they're on 200 after 30 overs. I don't know how it changed. Probably the cricket bats. The cricket bats are a lot heavier and make them so hard to do the same. We had family over there. I used to try and break it, we used